You already know that inflation is out of control, but do you really understand what it looks like? It's very difficult to understand because you haven't really visualized it, and that is on purpose. So I got this visual that I want to show you real quick that explains visually what the heck is going on. So let me show you this real quickly. Look at this chart I found, what inflation really looks like. I really like this chart because as you can see, you have these prices of things. We got gas, we got wheat, we got corn, we got cotton, we got oil, coffee, and look at the prices going up and down in real time. This is a great example because depending on what you're buying, if it's gas, if it's wheat, if it's corn, if it's cotton, the prices are going up and down all the time, depending on what assets or items that you're buying. I thought this chart was very helpful and insightful. When you look at this, look how high some of these prices get here towards the end of this. So let me kind of break this down for you. Why did I want to pull this chart up? Because the way that we think about, the way that we talk about, the way that the mainstream media talks to us about inflation is super confusing. And in my opinion, it's wrong. So inflation, they're trying to measure inflation through the economy with one single number. So we're talking about trillions of prices on trillions of items that have trillions of inputs, and they're going to measure all that with one single number. And as you can just see from that simple illustration with just a handful of items, how the prices are going up and down all the time. Guess what? Prices go up and down all the time. And guess what? Nobody can control that. Not the Federal Reserve, not a central planner, not you or I, and nobody should even try. Prices of trillions of things move for trillions of reasons. So let's just say, for example, trends. So the color, neon colors were super in, and manufacturers make lots of things in neon colors, and then they go out of trend. Nobody wants neon anymore. Now they want pastel colors. Well, all that stuff that was made with neon that is now overstocked is going to have to be dumped on the market. So it was very in demand, very trendy, and it was a high dollar amount. And now they're trying to sell it as cheap as they can. Another example, I saw today a headline, I believe it was the CEO of Walmart, said that they realize that the inventory they have is the wrong inventory for right now because prices are so high. People are focusing on the staples, mainly focusing on groceries. And so what their goal is to get rid of as much inventory now as they can by marking it all down. So shout out to Walmart. Go get some of that, sell merchandise if you want. But they're going to mark all that inventory down to get rid of it as fast as they can while there's still some money left in the economy, so they can turn all that inventory into staples that people want. So those items are going to go down in value for no other reason than Walmart decided they bought too much of them and they want to dump them right now. People like vanilla ice cream. Now there's cookies and cream. People want cookies and cream. Tastes change, styles change, seasons change. You made too much winter clothes, and now summer's coming, and you got to get rid of the winter clothes. Guess what you're going to do? You're going to mark it all down. So prices change all the time. For anybody like the Federal Reserve to think they can control prices and they can boil prices down into a single number, it's absolutely ridiculous. Let's take a look at this right here from the Visual Capitalist. This right here shows the monetary inflation. So this purple line right here is the amount of money in the system going up. The green line is the percentage change. So sometimes it's going up, sometimes it's going down, but the purple line shows it's always basically going up. Now, why do I show this? Because the definition of inflation is really monetary inflation. When you increase the money supply, that's inflation. The thing is, though, when you increase the money supply, it causes prices to go up all over the place. So, for example, you have more money chasing the same amount of goods and services. That creates demand pull. They call that demand pull. So there's more demand chasing the limited amount of goods and services that pulls the prices higher. All right. But typically, so we have monetary inflation. Now, typically, when you hear inflation, the government says CPI, consumer price inflation, is at 8.6%. They're talking about consumer price inflation. So when the inflation occurs when the prices of goods and services increase. But as I showed you on that visual that we opened up, all the prices of goods are changing all the time. People liked one food item. They don't like it anymore. People liked this fidget spinner. They don't like fidget spinners anymore. They like this widget. They don't like that widget anymore. It changes. The other thing about this basket is that it affects all of us differently. For example, I don't like olives. Now, what if the price of olives jacks up and you're an Italian restaurant, you need lots of olives? Well, the inflation is going to hurt you way more than me because I don't buy them. if you're trying to buy things that are inflating rapidly, like Southern California real estate, college tuition, medical expenses, then inflation's hitting you massive. But if you live in the Midwest in your parents' basement and you watch Netflix, that inflation doesn't even bother you. So trying to put consumer price inflation into a single number is ridiculous because it affects us all differently. Now, the third category is asset price inflation. Now, most economists leave asset price inflation out. This is why they told you in 2008, all that money printing, all that quantitative easing was not inflationary. I was on a panel with Lynn Alden and Professor Richard Werner, and they made this very compelling case as to how the monetary stimulus in Japan and in 2008 was much different than what we saw in 2020. And he concluded with saying that, and that's why it wasn't inflationary. And I said, hang on. You said it's not inflationary, but then why are houses at all-time highs and stocks at all-time highs and gold's at all-time highs? And he said, well, those are assets. That's not inflation. But I said, well, if I'm a consumer and I'm buying a house, wouldn't that be consumer inflation? So the lines are very blurry, but here's why they do this, and you need to understand this so you can see how they're trying to manipulate you here. Asset price inflation, again, they don't consider that to be inflation. The reason why is because they consider it appreciation, not inflation. Does that make sense? Probably not. So let me show you. So we have a difference of inflation versus appreciation. So appreciation is when the true intrinsic value of something increases. Notice I didn't say when the price or cost increases, rather the value increases. Appreciation is when something becomes more valuable, more desirable, more useful. So let me give you an example. I've stated many times that real estate or houses are consumable goods. Houses get old. Stuff in houses like the roof and the appliances and the windows need to be replaced. They should be going down in value, just like a car does, because eventually they have to be replaced. All right? So the house should be depreciating. However, the land, depending on where you're at, could be appreciating. So, for example, I live in Southern California. I live on the beach. I'm not exactly on the beach. I'm a couple houses off, but the house is in my neighborhood, which is one of the most desirable neighborhoods. And all the houses on the beach, there's maybe 15 of them. So if you want a house on the beach right there, that the value of that land is appreciating. It's inflating, you could say that, but it's actually appreciating. Or let's say in Austin, you have Lake Travis. There's only so many homes on the lake. Well, all of a sudden, Facebook Meta decides to move there. And those executives that make 20, 30, whatever, 40 million, they want to live on the lake. Well, there's only so many houses on the lake. What happens to the land? It appreciates in value. And so they consider asset prices to appreciate and not inflate. In my opinion, it's all connected because those executives that make all that money wouldn't be making all that money if we didn't increase the money supply so much. When we increase the money supply, prices going up on consumer goods, prices going up on assets are all a result of that. They're all because of that. They're not the cause, it's the effect, if that makes sense. So that's why appreciation is so difficult to understand. Hopefully that helps you out a little bit. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. When the prices are going up, it takes more of your dollars to buy those goods and services. That means the quality of your life is going down. Unless you can learn how to make more money, but even then it's going down because you have to learn how to make more money. And ultimately, it all comes from increases in the money supply, which you can see from this chart right here, has been going up almost vertically for a couple of years now. Hopefully that helps. Let me know what you think. Leave me a comment down below. Of course, as always, subscribe to this channel if you're not already. Give me a thumbs up if you like the video. Leave me a comment, and that's what I got. All right, to your success. I'm out. Since you've stayed to the end, I know you like this video, which means you're probably gonna really like this video right here and this video right here.